Hey everybody, welcome back to the practice video.
Yes.
And I know you are so excited to see us because you really missed us last week.
Yes.
And we were actually really sad about last week. But they started work on our house, which is great.
Amen.
So it's been
Be happy for us.
Yes. So, but right now it's even a little bit loud. There's
Yeah.
sawing and hammering and things like that going on.
Lots of
So
things.
we'll see how we get through this and if we get through this. But this is our practice video where we take the things that we're talking about on Sundays, or the things that God is teaching us, and we try to take them deeper so that we can really put them into practice.
Yes, but for the next 4 or 5 weeks, we're actually going to be doing it a little bit differently because on Sundays we're going to be talking about some different things. But we really wanted to stay in this part of the story between the resurrection and Pentecost.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've been studying Luke all through the entire year. We finally ended that series, but there are a few more stories if we move over to the book of John.
Right.
And he records some more events that I think would be really interesting for us to look at. And we
Yeah.
want to sort of immerse ourselves in this time period.
Yeah.
So that as we are learning from the apostles and the disciples during this time of waiting and anticipation of what they didn't know what was coming, we know what was coming.
Right.
Because at Pentecost, the Holy Spirit was given.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to kind of walk through this time as they did and immerse ourselves in it so that when we celebrate Pentecost on that day, that we are actually feeling it, feeling that the excitement of getting the power of the Holy Spirit.
Right. So that's going to be on June the 4th. The entire OC region is going to come together. It'll be a great time of worship and of fellowship and of celebration. We're going to take up our special missions offering, and just wanted to say thank you for preparing for that. Thank you for being generous with that. I am in contact with our brothers and sisters in Central America, and the support that we give them is doing so much, and it really is a great help to them, and it increases their faith, but also helps them reach more people. So I just wanted to say thank you for continuing to give to that. So that's going to be on June the 4th. We'll all get to come together, celebrate that. That'll be great. But we wanted to tell you today kind of about what our plans are for the South for the summer. I know that we've kind of been teasing it a little bit over the last few weeks, like, hey, we got some plans for the summer, but we'll tell you later. But I think things have finally settled in and some of the pieces fell into place that now we can talk about, what our hope is as we go into the summer.
Yes.
So we're going to be launching it from the idea of Shavuot. So the day of Pentecost, when the Spirit came down and the church began. And then the Spirit started to move. And as we go through the book of Acts, you get to see how the Spirit was moving and opening different doors and things were happening. It's an interesting thing to be able to figure out, how do we follow the Spirit?
Exactly.
In John chapter 3, actually, Jesus talked about it, and he said, the wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. And so it is with everyone born of the Spirit. And so it's this picture of that it's not something that is easily containable or easily explainable, but that the Spirit is showing up in unexpected places to do the work of God. It's one, when you think about the Spirit moving and working in the world, that's kind of exciting. Like, God is out there doing stuff right now.
Right.
There occasionally, sometimes people can think about it like, okay, God sent Jesus, and then Jesus gave us the Great Commission and sent us, and so now he's waiting in heaven until we get all the work done. And then occasionally the Spirit might show up. But I think that the plan is that God is moving in the world now, and he is doing things now. The Spirit is moving. And so what we want to train ourselves to do is to be open to and be able to discern, where is the Spirit moving and how is he working, and how can I join him in the work that he's doing with us?
Exactly. And so we want to take the summer not only to learn about the Spirit, which I think is going to be good for all of us,
Right.
because I think we, in our church history, haven't talked about the Spirit a lot, much more about God or Jesus, but this would be a great opportunity for us to learn about the Spirit. But not only to learn about it, but to practice walking in the Spirit, keeping in step with the Spirit, learning how to hear and see where the Spirit is working so that we can join him in the work that he's doing around us.
Right. So, as we head into the summer, our vision is that this would be a time of holy disruption.
Yes.
That we would be able to kind of shake ourselves out of the habits and the rituals that we're in, and allow God to move us into different places. When you're in your normal routine, sometimes it's easy to miss what God is trying to do.
Right.
But if we put ourselves into a different type of routine and we approach things a little bit differently, we can start to see possibilities open up. And, I think God could be working over here and he could be doing this. And so we want to give ourselves permission to start to see, where could God be working and what could he be doing and what would that look like? So the thought is that on Sundays, here in the South, we would be out having our worship services out in our communities.
Yes.
That we would be meeting in some of the wonderful, beautiful parks that are spread all over South Orange County.
Yeah.
That we would be coming together in our communities and inviting people to come and join us and meeting people along the way and seeing what God would do with that. And that we would be taking our small groups and having that be our kind of our spiritual point of reference. Like our primary identity with our church is going to be our small group, and we will be meeting together on Sundays and gathering together. We would still give you a video so that you could hear a great lesson that would give you great conversations, and then you come together on Sundays, you discuss it, and you're able to do that in that way on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, so sometimes we would be meeting with our small groups out on Sundays, but then sometimes we would have the whole South meet in the park. So the idea is to take advantage of the summer.
Right.
The slower pace, hopefully it's a slower pace. Hopefully we don't have to get up and take our kids to school in the morning,
right,
and they can stay up later at night. So we want to take the time to slow ourselves down, to be able to listen and to the Spirit, to be able to put into practice that gathering around the table, that stuff that we've been talking about all year. And now that the weather is great and we can be outside and we can do a lot more of that, we want to think about slowing ourselves down, entering into this season, really embracing all that it is. I mean, even embracing the disruption. Lots of times, we have our regular schedule during the summer and then people are going on vacation, so it kind of throws things off. But we're kind of just throwing ourselves right into that disruption, just embracing it and going, let God do something miraculous.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's kind of like my holy adventure of, going to Saddleback College. I have no idea what that's going to produce, but I want to do something different to see what the Spirit can do, to see if I can learn how to listen to and notice the Spirit.
Right. So I know that probably brought up a lot of questions for you, but I'm going to put up on the screen this calendar so that you can kind of see it.
So we go slowly through it.
And there'll be a link on the Weekly Wave too so that you can download it and look at it. All of these dates will be on our Google Calendar as well. So there's a link on the Weekly Wave for the Google Calendar so that you can see that. But our idea is that starting on June the 13th, we would come together on that Tuesday night for a very special summer celebration to kick off the summer, and all the men, all the women, all the kids, everyone
in the South.
We'll just have a great time together on that Tuesday night. It'll be our summer celebration, and then we will begin having small group services for the next 2 Sundays. On the 18th and the 25th, there'll be small group services that are happening. Then on July 2nd, then we would come together with the entire South. And in a park, we would have a big park service together. We've even talked about having church with your pets. Bring your pet to church day. So we're not sure which Sunday that's going to be, but we can all bring our pets and
those details to come.
See what that would be like. Yeah. And then as we go into July, there would be 3 more small group services, and then the last Sunday in July, we would have another South Orange County church service together in the park. And then we would do the same thing in August. 3 small group services, and the last Sunday in August we would come together for a great service with the South.
So basically we are sort of flipping the schedule that we have right now, which is we meet together 3 times a month, and in the last week of the month then we have our salt services.
Right.
So we're just switching it for the summer, where we have 3 salt services, so to speak, and then 1 together. Just to see what God can do with that.
And we're also going to be flipping then, well, what do we do during the middle of the week? And so we're going to start having midweek services on Tuesday nights we'll split it up by men and women. So one week the men will all come together and we'll have a great time of sharing, of connection, conversation, confession, all these great things that happen when we're all together. And then the following week would be the women. And so we would just alternate men, women throughout the summer. Except for July 4th. We figured we should take July 4th off. So we're not not going to do it on July 4th. But that's how we'll be approaching our midweek services. Then we're also going to have 2 special worship nights because, if we're not in the building every Sunday having our normal worship experience, many of us are going to miss that. And so we're going to have these 2 special worship nights where we can all come together and have an extended time of musical worship, which I think will be great.
In addition to our worship nights, we're also going to be having 3 young family fellowship nights. They're basically like a VBS night. So we're doing a VBS differently this year, and Haley's going to be giving you more information about that. But it's going to be a time for all of our young families to come together, to do some projects together, to have some fun together, eat together, and spend some time out under the stars. Because the theme of the VBS this summer is space. So she has put together some incredible ideas. I can't wait to hear about them, but they would be a great way for our young families to have something fun to do together.
So, our hope is that by allowing this disruption in our schedule and by trying something different, that God would really step in and be able to work in some really cool ways. Now, I know that whenever there is a change in the schedule, that can produce some anxiety and then, just some, okay, wait, what about this? And those of us who are more detail-oriented, we're already thinking through like, well, yeah, but what about this? And what about this? And what are you going to do about this? And what are you going to do about this? Yeah, I know. I have answers to some of those questions. I don't have answers to other of those questions because actually I want us to come up with that together. Like, well, what makes the most sense for us? And so, all those things we want to be addressing and talking about over the next few weeks. And I think that we'll get there. If we approach this with faith, with trust in God and how He's going to work it out, with a great sense of optimism and a huge boatload of grace for each other as we figure it out, I think it's going to be really fun. Yeah. And I think we're going to be able to try some really cool things.
Now, our hope is that the Spirit will be able to lead us to possibly new ways of reaching out to this particular area of OC.
Right.
We want to figure out how do we grow community in Dana Point and in San Juan Capistrano and San Clemente. Like, how do we continue to spread the gospel in our neck of the woods, so to speak? And would a different approach bring different results? We don't know, but at least we would be on the journey with the Spirit. So the Spirit is doing 2 things. He's reaching, the Spirit is reaching the people around us, but it's also teaching us how to live differently.
Right. So we're really excited about what this could mean, and we realize that this takes some trust on your part to trust us as we lead you through this. And so I wanted to say thank you for that trust. Thank you for for being willing to to give this a shot. And we're going to be evaluating it, and as we get to the end of the summer, there's going to be things that we learn and things that are good about it, and then other things that we're like, okay, that wasn't good.
That wasn't good.
Maybe we need to not do that. And so we're going to figure this stuff out together. Yes. What I want to encourage you to do in your groups tonight is just kind of have a time of imagining the possibilities.
Yes.
I would really like you to not get stuck on all of the potential problems. You can probably think those through and all that. So I'd kind of like you to write those down individually. Make a note in your phone if you need to, or take it in your journal and like, okay, these are the things that concern me. What are we going to do about this, 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 and this? And then feel free to email those to me. And we're going to kind of either address those in our videos over the next few weeks, or we'll put together like an FAQ where here's our plan for this, or we'll pull together kind of a group, a task force that will help us figure out some of these more, difficult issues that maybe involve more people and we want more input with that. So feel free to email us with those problems, but don't allow your group tonight to get weighed down and discouraged by identifying all of the ways that this could fail.
Leave that to us.
Yeah. So instead, what I would love for you to do is take some time to think about, like, man, this could be really cool. If God would bless this, if God does say, yes, this is a great idea, and if God shows up, what could that look like? What are some of the possibilities? What do we believe could happen? And just start to imagine that. Write those things down. Talk about those things in your group, and then start to write those things down. What are some things we think God could do? with that? What would that look like?
Yeah, maybe you want to meet in a different place. Maybe where do we want to meet? What time do we want to meet? In what style do we want to meet? Can we sit around the table more? Allow yourselves to think, what could we do to really embrace the summer season?
Right. And it's a great opportunity even for some of our groups to combine. As we look at that, maybe we could meet with some other groups. There might be a few weeks where most of your group is on vacation. That's a great time to come together, and I think all of us to pull one another in that way and help one another with that. So there's all kinds of ways that we can approach this, and I think it's going to be really fun. So
tonight,
it's easy for me to say it's going to be a lot of fun, right?
The possibilities. Tonight is about the possibilities. Talking specifically about, hey, where do we want to meet, and what could we do to make it awesome, and just letting God ignite your holy imagination tonight.
So use some of these words. Simplify.
Yes.
We want to simplify. Don't let this become super complex or complicated.
No.
Simplify. Slow down.
Yes.
And just think about being together, at the table. Whether you're at the table out in the park or at the table at your house or whatever, just that sense of all of us coming together and enjoying our fellowship time together. I want to encourage you to do that. So, all right. That should be easy. Have a great conversation tonight with your group. We love you guys, and we're really excited about doing this summer with you together.
I'm excited about the next 4 weeks or so, too. I think it's going to be awesome getting into the Spirit and learning new things.
There you go. Love you guys. We'll see you on Sunday.